everyone. Hello, Callum. Happy
Hello.
Friday.
Happy Friday. We made it.
How are we doing?
I'm shattered.
We
Marcin.
survived. Yeah, we survived. It should be a small achievement every week to just celebrate that we are here. Another week passed and we are all alive somehow, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, we had a quick chat that it's not easy, especially this month. I don't know. Again, everything is getting crazy. Christmas and the end of the year is arriving fast. And yeah, it's like that at this time of the year.
I saw someone asking on Twitter earlier this week if it's normal this time of year to feel like tired, a bit burnt out, and there was a bit of debate. There was people disagreeing. Some people going, "Yeah, it's absolutely normal. Everyone's feeling it." And other people saying, "You've been made to think that this is normal, but it's not." And I don't know. I don't know about you, but for me, this is crunch time in the year, and it's like things are pretty full on.
I feel more relieved, to be honest, recently, but because I've started to do some more sports, some more also health addressed finally, and I'm also sleeping more. Thanks to my kids draining me out during the day, probably. But that's again, and work-wise and everything else, I feel burnout every 6 months, so it's like become a natural thing.
That's my goal for next year. So for like this year, I started the year by saying I was going to look after myself better and like be a bit more selfish, which is an interesting, New Year's resolution. But I think it worked. I've taken more holiday this year, and that's been good. More time off. Last year, I took like 5 days off in the whole year. It wasn't healthy at all. But then I was just chatting with Busra this morning and saying how actually probably my next step up is some exercise. Taking some more time for myself, improving my sleep, and those sorts of things. There's all kinds of things that balance in that equation of health and happiness, isn't there?
Yeah. But fun fact is that on the IT conference here in my hometown, I've met my old friend with who I was playing basketball in the past, and he said, "Hey, come on, let's join our team. We are all elderly guys who are just playing for fun. We won't hurt you." And I said, "Yeah, my knee after surgery, 2 years. I don't know if I can run." And after last week, I was there for the first time, and I almost died after 1.5 hours
I saw
running.
I saw the picture you shared, Marcin. It was like 10 years and 10 kilos later. Which
I
feel
was
that.
I
feel that
on my university, and this picture is still there, and I was there yesterday, and it reminds me that I was playing basketball, I was running, I was having stamina. So it is somewhere hidden, but it is somewhere. But yeah, let's have it also this time. And I think this is always the December planning summaries. A lot of people is doing that. I haven't done it last years. I was just accepting what's happening. And still this year I have some resolutions, and I will probably be applying them. And the holidays and taking rest and move is definitely on top of the list. But yeah, it needs to be combined with the business and everything else as well, and it needs to help in all the areas in life. So until it helps. And you've been in Denmark last week, right? Have you managed to catch up with Rune?
Not last week, the week before.
The week before.
Yeah, we had umbraCoffee last week. We had Niels Lungso on.
Ah, damn it! Yeah,
everything's just blurred into one. I was in Denmark.
I
was in Denmark 2 weeks ago, and I did have a chat with Rune. Although it was kind of weird how I was unable to join umbraCoffee because I was on a train going to Umbraco HQ for a meeting, and then Rune was joining umbraCoffee, but he joined from home. He didn't join from, and so he actually came into the office especially so that we could have a drink and a chat at the end of the day. So speaking of which, I believe it was the Umbraco HQ Christmas party last night, which might be why they're very silent today. So I hope everyone there's feeling good.
Might be, but it just proves that I lost a week at least of my life somewhere in my head. But yeah, that's how it is. But yeah, it's December, and yeah, you've mentioned the Christmas party. There's a lot of companies parties as well. There's a lot of things happening, and more silence amongst the community sometimes. But we are not a silent community. We have a lot to catch up. For example, thanks to the series that we are always following during this time of the year, 24 days. And I admit, without feeling guilty, that I haven't managed to read any of the articles from this week. I just marked them as to do on my list. What about you? Have you been?
I remember again. My week has blurred into one. But I remember reading Jack's article at the weekend about the hero, or basically how you can make your website more environmentally friendly. This idea that actually, a really interesting claim. If you were to load Google Analytics through Tag Manager, that's adding to the carbon footprint of your website because it's making multiple calls, if you will. So you load Tag Manager and you load everything that comes with Tag Manager, and then you load a subsequent script. It's an additional call that really probably didn't need in the first place. Those sorts of ideas that you can make your website more environmentally friendly. Big hero banners, are they that effective? Are they is the resource needed to send that really high res image over the wire? But yeah, a really interesting concept there. I know that Dennis's article got really well received about the
I just remembered that the Dennis's and Phil's articles were not technical, and I've made through them, and they were really, really good. And it's more from the perspective of the team lead role and manager role on how to grow, basically, or how to help other people and ourselves grow. So yeah, I can correct myself and ensure that this is the right content. But two of the last ones were the ones that I've marked on my to-do list, and I need to catch up on them because I saw Soren's article being forwarded multiple times and being mentioned a lot, and I assume and I expect that it will be a really interesting topic. Same with the Azure media and configuration. That is something what we do a lot. So yeah, that's definitely worth to catch up, and there's still a lot of days left till the end of the month. So yeah, if anyone else didn't follow and wants to catch up, let us know what you will find interesting, and we'll definitely highlight it as well.
Should we fire up the tech tips as well and see what some of those were? I did catch up on those this morning. I did see those. There was you can get it from the homepage. There's been some debate on Twitter this week about whether they should be more prominently linked or something. It's right at the bottom.
It was like tech tips here, right? It was like check it out, and there is a whole listing.
And then I think if you click the logo at the top, it now takes you to the listing.
That's UX. Yeah, Windows Terminal. Windows Terminal from Sebastian. Power Toys.
Agent Ransack. These are all very, very, very helpful.
And Beyond Compare. That's one of my favorite tools from the past when I was merging and moving stuff between the projects. Really cool. Definitely worth also catching up on this. Maybe we'll link it as a tech tips things additionally to the link from to 24 days in our description. Why not too? Other than that, there was a summary of the Umbraco Community Health Survey. Have you seen this, Callum?
I did see this. This was earlier in the week, wasn't it? Just interesting to see, basically get a sense of where the community's, where the community is, where they're learning, how they are working with Umbraco. I know Paul Seal got a couple of shout outs as well, which is lovely.
But also to highlight the majority of answers were coming from developers, so it might be also proof that we are a developer centric community still amongst the people who are active, at least in replying to this survey. One thing that I was referring to, there was a highlight of documentation being still the far biggest resource of the knowledge, and here Paul Seal received a lot of shootouts too. But yeah, the new documentation also during this week, I had a lot of great feedback from people referring to the new documentation, to the V10, V11 stuff out there. So it's becoming more
I agree.
handy.
I'm trying to break my habit of searching for docs in Google because new docs platform just isn't showing up yet. Like it's not got the SEO juice that the previous one had, but then none of the docs I want on the previous one either.
So now we thanks to the GPT-3 we might switch our documentation and Google into a chat GPT questions. Did you see a lot of this?
I thoroughly enjoyed this week, and I know that my team's been playing with things. I think yesterday Joe asked for some code, and it was 99% correct what it put out. Like actually really good succinct code. I know Paul Seal asked it to explain Umbraco like I'm 5 or something. And it did a really good job of that. I'm very impressed. Very, very impressive.
I also liked Paul's example of Moriyama Elevate description written as a movie trailer. That was this is so amazing. I played with it a lot, and of course everyone is making it viral, and still it's not perfect. And I want to highlight one thing: it's based on the GPT-3, and GPT-4 is just behind the corner. So we are just at the beginning of this potential.
It's based on
that's scary.
Based on data from 2021 or the start of 2021 as well. So any events that have happened since then, it doesn't know about as an AI, and equally technological advancements, new frameworks, libraries. It doesn't know what those are. But it's very impressive. It's very, very cool.
Yeah. It is, and it will definitely help if it will be used correctly for us as a community, Umbraco wise too, because I saw a lot of texts generated, descriptions and things like that. It really helps. For example, 10 ways of learning how to do something. And one thing that I've seen and I showed for one of the colleagues recently, was like I pasted a class from our project, a controller class, and I wrote a question to write some unit tests based in X unit for this particular class, and it just suggested how to write an example unit testing for this particular controller. So yeah, it might really help.
I know this week we were giving it some like CSS and saying convert this to SAS, and it did it.
Nice.
It's very impressive.
Nice.
I saw someone speculate that this is actually just some big like call center in the East or something, and people are just because it's too good, which is the sort of ultimate compliment for an AI, isn't it? That it's the Turing test is that it passes as a human, and it's very, very close. I'm impressed.
But definitely share your examples. If you'll find anything cool for us as an Umbraco community and tech community, let us know about it, because it's possibilities are endless, and there's so much buzz and so much fun on top of that it's just worth following. This is the statistics that I wanted to share more, and I was looking for this particular slide. How many nodes in the instances people have, because at some point in time we were discussing that there's not so many solutions with the big amount of nodes, and there is still a huge percentage of them, but of course the majority is it's easy to say small websites based on Umbraco, right? Still below 100 nodes on the whole solution, but there are still a couple of them.
That feels small. I mean, maybe we're dealing with much larger sites on a daily basis, but I don't think maybe I can count on one hand the number of sites we have that have less than 500 nodes in them.
Mm-hmm. Same here.
But clearly there's people out there using with just like 5 pages or something, isn't it? Like
exactly. Just a brochure, website, homepage, about us, contact, etc. Right?
Yeah, it's impressive.
And this one, V7, V8, V9, in the majority, still a lot of V4 sites and V6 sites, V10, and reasons why not to upgrade. That was also something what our team was really looking forward to get some answers. And of course, money, budgets, clients, and time are mentioned as the top showstoppers when it comes to upgrading to the latest and greatest Umbraco. And this one, must-have packages. Probably from our perspective, it's a well-known fixed list of the.
There's no surprises on that list.
No surprises.
The only thing I would say that is a surprise. I'm wondering if this is a ranked list in some ways. Only thing that I would be slightly surprised about is that contentment is so far up there, given that it's only 2.5 years old now, nearly 3.
Yeah.
And the others have been around for a good 5+ years, but. It's
but it didn't surprise me either. It's like a really nice list, and I would say it's a must-have for majority of the projects to work with. And other than that, there was a lot of discussions on how to contribute, the ways of contributing. Definitely worth checking the whole report in the details. And there is also a blog post and some thoughts from Emma and the team about their highlights and what are they takeouts from the report. I really like this kind of analysis work, and data is always nice to see and have.
It's the first time we've had this sort of health check, let's say, on the community since it was a long time ago. I think it was Ilham's thesis as part of her master studies when she first joined Umbraco, maybe as an intern or something, and she was doing a thesis on open source communities, and that's the last time the community was polled. A lot has changed since then. My biggest takeaway from this, and I don't know if it's correlation or if it's just how the data presented, but at the start there, where you had that graph that was how long have you been using Umbraco, and a kind of overwhelming majority were pointing towards it being 10 plus years, which for me is so surprising. Like, have we really got such a senior heavy community, or is it just that the people who responded to the survey were the active hardcore Umbraco fans that haven't left in 10 plus years? This sort of, I'd love to see that early entrance thing being bigger, like as in people have been using it for 2 years or less, being a bigger wave, because otherwise at some point those 10-year plus people are going to move on to other things, and what happens to the kind of incumbent community is what happened 2 to 5 years ago that's changed that dynamic. But maybe it's
I want to remind only that at least from my personal experience, when I started doing Umbraco projects, I wasn't completely aware that there is something like community on top of that. I was doing Umbraco because it was the software that we started using, and I built it for the website. I was not even looking to interact with other people doing the same. So it might be the case of younger people, especially maybe starting doing tech, and also the kind opportunity to be community driven, or maybe not being community driven as well during the COVID, for example, right? So I'm also curious about it, and I also noticed that, and I think I hope it was the people who filled the survey because they were immediately interacting with Umbraco as experienced.
As Sebastian says, in that we've got 2 Sebastians somehow in the chat, but Sebastian says, it's probably the kind of people more attracted to filling the survey in or spending the time to fill it in. So we shouldn't read too much into it. But then that makes me question, what are all these other people doing? Do people not know that the package ecosystem exists? I know there was a response that said, some people said we'd rather not use packages at all. And for me, that's one of Umbraco's biggest selling points. But some people maybe don't know there's been big issues with discoverability before. It's very interesting seeing these kinds of numbers.
Yeah, definitely, and as I said, it was great to see this data, and I think we need to definitely do more of this, and I'm sure Umbraco will be analyzing the market and people and community hopefully more often as well, and we will have more data, more information to train our internal AIs and models to react to that and help wherever it's possible, because there are some pinpoints already specified. And I've been doing some polls in the past too about your biggest issues with Umbraco, and I think it all relates back to what is highlighted here. So some pain points are still there, so what means that we have a lot of room to help and contribute and improve, which is always great to have. So let's hope it will help and we'll be able to improve. Other than that, the other bigger news that we've mentioned recently was Umbraco Workflow package that got finally released officially, and it landed on Marketplace as well. There are some packages being listed out there, and also Nathan wrote a blog post here describing what it is, how to work with it. So for everyone who might not be that familiar with Plumber and everything what it offered in the past, that's a great resource to basically get familiar with it. And it looks really nice. Got some polished since the previous releases too, and it's now available to be installed and worked with the great documentation too.
I've obviously not had a chance to play with it. I've not used Plumber since V8, but I'm assuming this is kind of new and improved and reimagined for Umbraco 11, and I'm certain we'll get a chance to play with it. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes as well. So I know that the pace with, say, Umbraco Forms actually has been that they've been improving and adding to the product, rather than maybe a year or two ago where it was more maintenance mode of that product. I'm assuming this is sort of the initial release, a minimum viable product of Plumber, if you will, where we'll then have brand new features coming and whatever in future. Or maybe Nathan can shift his attention to putting some other of his packages into the core, like pre-flight. Awesome, wouldn't it? If we directly at CMS. I don't know what.
Yeah, that's next. Yeah, we will see. We'll see, but it looks like really a good entrance point, and now as an official commercial offering as well for Umbraco to upsell and be there for the needs of market when it comes to workflow management. So that's.
Do we know what the pricing is for this? Because I don't think maybe I missed it. I don't think this was announced previously, and it was said it would be kind of a. They can't fit it in the nav because they've got got too many products.
It's here. Let's see. 24,000 per domain.
Okay, yeah. I mean, for the specialist case that this solves, I think that's perfect. And there's a free version.
Yeah, there's a free version.
Well, then that changes everything. Then that's excellent.
Yeah,
that's really excellent.
Offline pro content. Nice.
I know before. I think for a client we bought a kind of a lifetime license, and it was $1,000 or pounds or euros or whatever it was at the time, which felt like a bargain as well.
Before inflation,
this free version probably covers most of what we need.
Yeah, exactly. But I also was not aware that there is a free license, so that's really good. That will help people to get their hands on and explore the workflows more. That's awesome. So yeah, check it out.
That's really good.
Yeah, I need to also check it out. Cool. Another article, the last from the Umbraco blog this week was from Toke from Enterspeed. And it's all about composable approach to architecture and headless and challenges with it. And I'm fortunate to get familiar with what Enterspeed does, and I've met Toke multiple times as well. And it seems like he addressed it very well. And I like the narrative about challenges with headless, because headless is not answer for everything. It's not easy. And Enterspeed solves some of these challenges for us when it comes to decoupling content. And this blog described how. I wanted to highlight one example that we've been doing recently. It was merging data from multiple CMSs and replacing them behind the scenes by using Enterspeed as a data breach or just a middleware basically for consuming data. And yeah, that was highlighted on Umbraco blog this week. So yeah, I think it's for everyone. And we still were trying to talk headless more often recently, and still a lot of people do not either did not do headless that much or did not care about it that much. But here it's another resource and another information how and why it might be helpful, and if at all, for some of the projects too. So
yeah,
I really
not always appropriate, is it? But like
of course.
I was also going to add. I don't know if we said this a few weeks ago, but so Enterspeed, I think, was probably the original product on the market, at least in the Umbraco sphere, for this concept of having a sort of a central migration hub where you transform your data and then you send it to a data source. And it's what Moriyama are trying to do with their Elevate product as well, and not quite to the same extent, but the idea that you take legacy data, transform it, and import it is what Kevin's doing with the usync migrate.
Migrate.
So it's cool to see that concept being worked on by more and more people, because clearly that's going to have a future in this community. And then whether that then is taking data from a headless, from a legacy CMS to a headless CMS, or serving elements of your architecture through a headless approach by doing that. That's it's quite an interesting concept that I think will be evolved. I saw someone, maybe it was Paul Sterling the other day, asking, how can I take like an archive of my content from a hardcore site and put that somewhere? And you can imagine having something that just pulls that content, sticks it in something like Enterspeed or some kind of central layer that you can then in future, if you need to, spin that off back out to a different hardcore site or to a different Umbraco CMS to kind of restore it all. It's a lot of potential there.
Yeah, and they received, if I'm correct, yesterday or the day before, a huge investment from some external investor to the product. So it might definitely help speed up the process.
Just focused on Umbraco, are they?
No. But the Umbraco was the heart and the central point and the initial CMS that was addressed. But they do work with Sitecore and other CMSs as well, because it's just listener to the data, and then you can consume the data from the front end, basically the whatever way you want to. So yeah, it's like a Vue storefront if you are familiar with e-commerce for front end. So yeah, that's worth checking if people are still not familiar with it. And other releases this week, we've mentioned Contentment, and Lee released the new version of this package this week. And too long don't read. There is a new data source for content property values and new list items editor.
This is so awesome. We've had some custom data sources in our projects where we're kind of like looking up the tree for a repeatable text string or for a picker that we then transform into tags or whatever else. We've got one that transforms block list content into things as well, and this just sort of does it, so we can delete a load of code, which is great.
Yeah, and that's also why it became a must-have and an initial point to just align of single way of doing custom data type things in multiple projects that I've seen already, which is again awesome. And I won't be surprised if it will land in the core sooner or later, because that's.
At this point it has to, or it just becomes one of those packages again that everyone installs without question. When you set up an Umbraco site, you sync contentment, skygrid redirects, doctype grid as if using the grid, or the old grid. I think it will go that way.
Yeah, we'll see. And other than that, I've collected a couple of the most recent updates on the marketplace, starting from Cookie Tractor dashboard. So another platform to manage the cookie consent. This dashboard is possible to be installed to Umbraco, and of course to use it with Umbraco and their provider cookie management tool.
These are the people that have the cookies at Code Garden. They had like a big box of cookies somewhere, and they were really tough, and they nearly broke your teeth if you tried to eat them. That's what I remember about their product.
But their dashboard looks really, really good. So that's nice to see. Other than that, UpWest team released their bundle upgrade that has a lot of features. We've been talking about it a couple of weeks ago, and it got updated with some new improvements and things out there. So if someone checked it, if someone used it, there's a new version of the bundle to be upgraded to. And Sebastian released a version 1.0.3 of his environment variables inspector, and I haven't seen this recently, or I missed it, but it was like a god mode where I used it the most in the past when it comes to reading the server variables, and it seems like it's a nice competition to the environment variables inspection. So
it's also good that it tells you where it's coming from. So even if you look in Kudu, for example, Kudu gives you a summary of all the environment variables your application is currently running with, but it doesn't tell you the source of those. So if you need to go and change, find, override, you don't know where you need to do that. This does, which is very good.
Yeah, that would be really good to see also the variable substitution sources from which variable overwritten it from Azure apps configuration, for example. But yeah, that's wishes. At some point, CMS import released to a patch version to the version 11, so it's also ready, landed on marketplace, and there is a version for version 11 too. And last but not least, something that I wanted to mention, and I was very curious about it, is like a share preview package.
This is excellent, and I've wanted to build this for so long.
I don't know, Callum, if we were not talking about it when we even worked together years ago.
My vision, my dream, and I tried to do it because it was, in fact, I remember looking at the Plumber source code at the time to work out how Nathan was overriding that button back in the days before. I think he then ended up making a PR to make that save and publish button and the controls there a little bit more replaceable by packages.
Indeed.
I wanted to put a kind of like share dialogue. You click it, it gives you a link. You could even set specific users, public, kind of like the Google Docs share dialogue. I wanted that, and this does it.
This is it. Exactly. This is it. And I'm tempted to give it a try because this week it was released to support version 10. So it is there, version 2. But yeah, I missed this feature a lot, especially when we deal with the projects that are exposed to many stakeholders and people who wants to just test it without having an Umbraco account. Still, there is a gap if, for example, you hide it behind the IP restrictions or maybe some things like that. But if not, this will be the great opportunity to really share a preview for non-Umbraco users. And yeah, it's there and definitely worth checking. And there were some versions against the previous versions of Umbraco, but now it's also updated and released for the Umbraco 10. So great work
Very cool.
here.
I'm giving this a try.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to really highlight. Event-wise, there was a Ask Me Anything session this week with Kim. I don't know, Callum, if you joined it. No, me too. I missed it also completely, but if anyone is here who was attending, let us know if there were some cool or maybe not that pleasant questions for Kim to be answered.
I think they were all pleasant. I think they were reviewed. But I believe the recording goes up on SpotMe or maybe YouTube somewhere. Okay. People can find it later. So.
Okay, I'm very curious about it as well because there is a lot of questions. A lot of people still wants to know how the things are going, and Kim definitely replied back with the overview. So if there's anyone watching us now who attended, let us know how it went. And Sebastian said that they talked about the preferred access to. Yeah, that's one of these questions that might be approved by Kim even to be asked. And cool. That's about this event. There was, of course, some Christmas meetups, some things like that, and probably the next one is on 20th, if I checked correctly. But there is one announcement coming from the well-known conference in Bristol that they will be back next year on 10th March, and the lineups and tickets are coming soon. And now they've opened also Speak for Proposals.
That's been there for a little while, and Steve graciously didn't promote it whilst we were trying to promote Umbraco together. But I know I submitted a couple of ideas. I think their focus as
innovation, right?
It's not in this tweet. Yeah, it's innovation. So if you've got an innovative thing to talk about, go propose that. And it was a great event previously. I was looking back at the pictures of this the other day.
2020.
No, it looked fantastic. It was a kind of a time before times, right? Before COVID and everything was a thing. Having a beer on the terrace, lovely.
It looks like you both are looking at this crane.
I think we were actually talking to each other at that moment in time. Snap a picture in both directions.
Yeah, that was that, and I can commit to that. That was a really great event, and yeah, the themed talks out there were also kind of different than on the other development festivals. It was definitely more towards something new, something different, and innovative, as you've said.
Yeah.
So maybe GPT-6 talks for or things like that.
By March, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. Who knows? Some crypto mining GPT-4 or 6. Challenges that Umbraco developers are facing, but yeah, definitely submit your talks and ideas if you want to participate or buy or wait for tickets to be on sale. And start planning the March. Definitely worth doing. Other than that, there is a virtual festive social today from 3 p.m. Central European time, hosted by Umbraco Virtual, Lottie, and the rest of the team involved out there as well. So yeah, if you or anyone else have time and want to join forces and enjoy some holiday spirit together with Umbraco community, that's the opportunity, and the meetup link will be attached to this event and this description. A couple other things to mention quickly. Niels released a really nice tease of the demo with Twilio, and how he dealt with integration, and he also promised that the tutorial will be released soon. But what interested me the most is like the Twilio Studio submits the results to Umbraco Forms, so it's like a both ways integration in this case.
So again, we don't have the tutorial or the blog post yet, but I'm guessing this makes a unless this was in his 24 days article last week. I don't think it was. But I guess this makes a call to Umbraco, gets all the kind of form data out, understands what the questions and the options are, formats that, sends that out through the SMS gateway, and then records the responses and submits it as a post back. So you can do all of this with Umbraco forms as well, which is a very nice idea. Like you can see the potential here, not just with SMS, but with, say, chat bots and other things, and integrating those with Umbraco forms too.
Yeah, looks really, really cool. And of course, if the tutorial will be released, we will mention it on umbraCoffee too. And Aaron, on the other hand, looks for help. He mentioned that he is trying to migrate to UUI components, and wants some help in doing this. So if there is any UUI components,
there's two sides to this, and I'm in the same boat as Aaron here, because we're using the same modified version of the library that I've got in Meganav.
Yeah.
Basically, it's Angular UI. It's using Angular JS. We need an equivalent in modern JavaScript. There are different tree libraries, but they all don't quite do what you need, like drag and drop, collapsing, dragging whole sections of a tree. It can get pretty complicated, and building one is even more complicated, so no one wants to go building one themselves. So then there's that, but there's also, if you're happy to use, say, React or something, how you then get that to plug in with the new back office Angular, with the web components UUI, and using all of those things as well. There's two things at play here, but it's I'm watching this intently. When I get some time, I'm going to give it a go. Matt suggested Sortable, something I tried out before as well, but again, it doesn't quite do everything you need it to do. So
yeah, that's interesting. But yeah, this kind of challenges will hit more often, because going towards more or less frameworks involved, it's getting harder to find some vanilla examples of the very fancy and complex things like this, like drag and dropping tree in a structure.
We were talking with a client earlier today about their roadmap for upgrading beyond wherever they are now. I think V8. And so we said, well, we can get you to V10 now, but then they were going to say, oh, we're a few months away from that anyway. So in that case, we could get them to probably wait out for V12 and get them on latest 12. For me, 12 is the next sort of safe point we can upgrade to without there being too many issues, a bit like V11 is currently. Because with V13, we're going to have this problem. Hopefully it'll be mitigated, but where packages aren't updated, aren't available. And Sebastian was just saying that in the chat, how people don't want to use packages because it prevents them from upgrading. And I think this is going to be a problem. We're going to see a big issue with migrating packages from current V10 LTS to the next LTS, where the back office changes completely. We'll have a transitionary period, should we say. It might take a little bit longer to get people onto V13. Everyone's going to be dealing with these problems.
Yeah, I'm curious if there will be still a kind of forked version of Umbraco backoffice running against the new APIs from the old version. That would be...
there was some talk about it, but I don't think they're compatible. In many ways.
Yeah, we'll see. That will be our problem in the future. Not now yet, fortunately, but it will be
in a year's time.
So yeah, if there are some magicians or from people who knows more options of doing this kind of stuff, let us all know. Help Aaron, Callum, and the rest of the people who are struggling with this kind of dependencies too. Two things to mention as a kind of maybe segment of pull request of the week.
Oh, we've got pull request of the week back. Oh, that's good.
Yeah, Michael kindly suggested a couple of the pull requests that were addressed or merged even this week, and starting from something what was initiated by Bjarne a while ago on October 15th. It's like information about the published and unpublished notes in the relation between the content and the other stuff that might help indicate of the issues maybe, or the challenges why some things are not displayed, or maybe why this page is not visible somewhere, and it's just indicated now in the state as the following items. So we can know if the item that is maybe related to this content or referenced by in this content or by this content item is published or unpublished. So it's really cool to see that as a solution. It was merged recently, so it's going to be released soon.
Coming in 11.1, I guess, whenever that is. Yes. Yeah, it's got a label.
Yes, probably. And the second one is a playwright test for Umbraco health checks. So more tests, more options to test also. And I wanted to highlight how easy it looks and how easy it's to do this kind of test scenario for health checks. So even for someone like me who is not that familiar with the playwright or the framework or TypeScript in general too, it's like it looks like clean code and clean information on what I'm testing here, what I'm doing, what I'm expecting. So it's really nice, and of course, thanks to the open source, we can see how to do it, and we can maybe replicate it without involving ChatGPT to do it for us. So that's good to see it and see more of this test in Umbraco Codebase.
Yeah, and it does make it. I mean, PRs like this, which maybe slightly more challenging to get created up front because there's not really any examples or things we can follow. The more and more PRs we get like this, the more it helps other people do their first playwright pull request or whatever it is to Umbraco, because they can go reference them. And this is nice, clean, relatively. It's not simple, but it's straightforward, easy to follow. Very good example.
Yeah, exactly. And last item on the list is the blog article from Corne about migration tips in regards to Vorto translations. And as someone who approached updates recently with the legacy property editors such as LeBlender, for example, I would love to see more stories like this. So how to migrate with the legacy packages and legacy approaches like translations done with Vorto. And Corne shared here on how he approached that, what he has learned, and what were the gotchas explored out there. So thanks Corne for sharing. And as you are here, so thank you very much for sharing this, and everyone who will approach the Vorto in the migration path can definitely reuse this one from Corne and Corne's blog. And that's all from my list and our list today.
Only.
Of course, nothing happened, right? December, silent December. That's how it is. But that was everything. Of course, if we missed anything, let us know, and we'll mention it in the next umbraCoffee episodes. And that's everything. So
that is everything. There's a bit of chat going on in the chat about running playwright tests from a health check. Jason and I already discussed this when he was preparing his
test inception.
His talk for Umbraco together, and yes, it's absolutely possible. You can run them in code in Umbraco events wherever you want to go. Scan the front end, run a visual regression, and fail if something's changed or whatever. It's very handy. You could run that on each deployment or something like that.
Yeah, powerful stuff. So share if you will do that, something like that, and we'll hopefully mention it as well, and make us all maybe do more tests like this in the future. But that's all for this week. Thank you all for being with us. As usual, like, subscribe, share, and fulfill us with information to be highlighted next time. And see you on the next umbraCoffee. Thanks, Callum. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the day, everyone. Bye-bye.